Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Sonic 3 Knuckles. Last time we left off, we were in Carnival Night Zone, and now Ice Cap Zone. Now, if you're wondering why I sound any different, it's because my good microphone crapped out on me. I thought it was my sound card on my computer just because of the way all my other mics were acting the other day. But I learned last night that it was my headset, which really annoys me because that was a good headset. Oh well, it happens. I'll have to save money for another. Now I know for Carnival Night Zone I wasn't too talkative, I was tired. But I can never seem to come up with some topics to talk about. Let me think here. What's something I can talk about? I could continue on how I see gameplay, and how it should be developed. Oops, well, that went quick. Ignoring him, there we go. Please. Dang it. Well, I got an electric shield out of all that mess. Let's see here. Something good to talk about. Yeah, I'll just continue on to how I think game developing should work. Number one being story and character development. Because without that, you don't really have a game. Like here, in even Sonic 3 Knuckles, they do differ with Sonic and Tails and then Knuckles. So it's a nice little difference, but it's there. Then, after character development and story, I find that it's the gameplay you want to focus on. Because you want the controls not to be glitchy and you want some nice stages. If you're wondering how you can do that without having to do the graphics first, it's called graph paper. You can actually lay out your stages by using graph paper. It's actually a nice little concept at first. Of course you do want gimmicks as well, you can lay out throughout the stages as well, so they aren't just all the same and boring. Of course you want the character control to be nice too, as well as the enemy attack. That's a key factor. And that wasn't high enough. Oh, there we go. Then you have what I find to be better is music. Because then the stages get pretty dull if all you're hearing is just nothing but your own voice or white noise. And you want the sound effects to be right as well for the characters, or effects, like attacks, damage, even the enemies too. Because without the proper sounds, it sounds really weird and it makes people uncomfortable. So that's another key thing I find is music and sound effects should be third to work on. Then last should be your graphics, because you can tweak those as much as needed. Start with your bases for the rough stuff, and then from there you go on, just do the final touches. Make everything look nice and all that fancy stuff. So yeah, that's my point of view for it. And now we're here at the boss. You gonna throw those in the air so I can hit you? 1, 2, 3. Ah. Whoa, that was a little close. You know, to this day, I still think that 2D does end up looking better than 3D. Just you can do a lot more with 2D than you can 3D. You have to follow pretty much the rules of physics when it comes to some of the 3D stuff. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. After all, take a look at games like this, and a really good one would be Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That game is beautiful for a 2D game. So yeah, there's actually a lot of good games out there that don't have the best graphics in the world. It more or less just comes down to the story and even the personality of the characters. Or the gameplay for that matter. Those are the three key factors of any game. And you kind of have the same thing with a movie. You want your story, you want your character development, and you want the scenery. Okay, if I go down here, there's a special ring. There we go. And the spring. There we go. That's pretty much all I really have to talk about on that. Again, it's just my opinion. It just makes me sad that game developers care more about making money now than they do their own consoles or their own games. Or even the consumer, which is the key thing to any marketing. Take it from someone who works in retail. I'd rather the customer go home with a product they're happy with than care about how much money I make. But that's just the way the world works. Oh well. Ah, penguins! They've come back to avenge me, their brethren, even if they are robots. Hi, doo-doo. And the funny thing is you get penguins out of that too. Checkpoint? So where are we? Probably near the boss. That was lucky. There we go. Up. And over. Next is up. And over. And then finally up. And over. There we go. Up. Is there stuff up here? There we go. That was a glitch. I'm pretty good at finding those, wow. And up for a bunch of rings. And I'm over 50 rings, meaning I'm gonna turn into a hyper if I try to collect more. You know what? Let's do it. Collect. Done. Even little Easter eggs in here are quite nice. Or extra stuff you can unlock. Actually, that's another thing that bothers me, is the way they handle downloadable content sometimes. I can understand if it's, you finished the game, you added all the stuff you wanted to, and decided you wanted to add something later, but what baffles me is when the content is on the disc, but you can't access it until you pay for a code to unlock it. I find that's a really cheap way of doing things. If the game content is on the disc, don't make it downloadable content you have to unlock. Make it unlockable through the gameplay. That's how games used to do it. That's how they should still do it. Hell, Mighty Switch Force is a good example. I'll stop my rant here and save it for next time. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Let's Play Sonic 3 Knuckles. This is Autumn Child saying, see you all next time.